I want to introduce our guest, Shevon Nieto.
Yes.
Hopefully I pronounced that. I did my best there.
Right.
What's that?
You got it right.
Okay, perfect. Bam. I'm so bad with names. A little bit of your background. You are a two-time Olympian representing Jamaica. You also were an All-American, an NCAA champion. You were part of that wonderful national championship at South Carolina. And we're both Gamecock alums, of course. Hold on. What'd you say?
I said, yeah, we both Gamecocks.
We're both Gamecocks, of course. I've had a couple Gamecocks, but just so many amazing so many folks, who ran track, were amazing track and field athletes and stars who then go on to just be incredible people and have amazing stories. And so, this podcast really is just me wanting to talk to folks like you and hear your story because, you have interesting stories and, you're involved with so many things. And I like to hear a little bit about all of that, from your work with Puma. And just recently, you're on America's Got Talent. So you're a super famous celebrity as well. And also, you just made a wonderful announcement, right? You're expecting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, just for this, and then your story, also your marriage and your story, your journey with Jamie, just so many aspects of your life. Just, I think that folks probably will find it inspirational. You're like the nicest person that I've ever met, that I know. You've always been. I mean, you are too, Portia. But, just since college days, Siobhan has always been just very nice, welcoming. I have a friend who was in an accident recently and kind of, experienced the same type of trauma that Jamie did. And you were very, you were immediately there to reach out and offer your help and your support and your encouragement and advice. And so not a lot of people would take time to do things like that. So, that makes you a special person, and that's why I wanted to talk to you.
Thank you, Adrian.
No problem. That was a lot. I said a lot, but
So we were thinking, why don't we want to kind of go through your timeline a little bit, and I think we hit on it right before we started the interview, but I believe the first time I met you was at the Armory. And it wasn't during competition. It was actually you were practicing. You had just graduated high school, I believe, and you were at South Carolina and you were home on break. So we were all there practicing at the Armory. And you were there on break, and I had recognized you, and you stopped and you just started having conversation. And as a teenager, I remember back then everybody wore ponytails and all that, but you had a unique, distinct, you used to wear a slim, long ponytail down your back, and everybody knew it was you. So it was the cutest thing. And I remember you were telling me a little bit about South Carolina and just running in college and the transition from high school to college. And then, of course, I actually competed at North Carolina. So I had an opportunity to see your career flourish. So that's how I met Siobhan. And I was telling Adrian that an interesting fact to take it back even further. I think you graduated high school in 2001, correct?
Yes.
In 2000, you were ranked number 6 in the country in the 400 hurdles. And then in 2001, you were ranked number 4. Now, amongst those top 6 were actually 2 of your future teammates, Tiffany and Tawana, which was crazy. So, how did you know that they were, did you follow them? Did you know that they were going to South Carolina? Was that part of the plan? Was that a part of, Coach Fry and his staff's recruitment tactics? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, no, when I was in a senior, I think that's when we started on our recruitment visits and checking out different colleges, and South Carolina was actually my last visit that Oh, yeah, it was my last visit that I attended. And I'm not going to tell you the school that I was going to go to. But anyway, South Carolina, I came in with one of my recruiting partners, which was Kalila Carpenter, also the top high school runner, 200 meters. So, and I knew that South Carolina had already had an amazing track program, the #1 women's team. So when I went on my recruiting visit, just met girls and everything, I instantly knew that this is where I wanted to be. I knew that we had a great class that was coming in as well, and that was important for me, so that if I could train with the best, that it would put me in a better position to be one of the best. So that's how my decision to go to South Carolina, and meeting Kalila Carpenter and hearing about some of the other athletes. But also when I was in high school, they took the top 10 high school athletes in the country and to the Olympic Training Center. So from there, I actually there, and I met Alexis Joyce there, Monique Henderson. I met a lot of the top high school runners training center. So that was pretty cool. And then to meet them at South Carolina.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Nice.
When did you start running track? How did you get involved in track and field?
Well, I started track when I got into junior high school, actually. And we had a little track team there, but our junior high school went to 9th grade. And my coach was like, you should run with the high school girls, you should go up to the high school. And our school was, junior high was separate from the high schoolers. So it was like, I was the only one getting on the bus from junior high school to go and join the high school kids. So you could imagine how intimidating that would be, like, okay, going up to this school. But, as soon as I got on the team and worked with the other girls, I'm pretty competitive.
Yeah.
Even as a 9th grader, when I came in running with the girls, the older girls, Kay and Shauna Quinn, to name a few, I always looked at, I didn't like running in the back. So I always looked to get myself to the front, and I eventually did that, which ended up landing me number 3 in New York State as a 9th grader in the 4th. So at that time, I definitely realized that, I was really good. And it was at that point where I asked my coach, what's the highest level that I can get in track and field? And he said the Olympic Games. So I instantly said that, okay, I'm going to make it. And he said, whoa, wait, because he saw how excited it was. And he said, that's like winning the lottery. So he wanted me to know that it was going to be really tough and it was going to be hard for me to do, but it didn't scare me.
Yeah. And you ended up eventually going to the Olympics and actually being on one of the most competitive teams in the world, this Jamaican team.
Yes.
Tell me about how did you tell us about that, making the national team?
Well, yeah, I like to say, since he said it was like winning the lottery, I won twice. Twice. So going to South Carolina, I made my first Olympic team as a junior. And I just remember that year coming up, and I knew that, okay, the Olympics is coming around this year, and it's my time to actually go out for the team. So I would get up in the morning time and I would do extra runs. I don't know if you knew that, but
no, I didn't, and I'm mad because now I'm like, okay, I need an extra run. See, look at this. I bet Lashinda was doing the same thing. See,
I would do extra runs in the morning, and then I would work on my form, and at nighttime as well. So I'd go up to our the indoor place where we had that indoor track gym.
A little bubble. They have a nice one now, if you haven't seen it.
Other rec place where we had.
I don't remember.
It was for just like the students that came in. It was like a student. So and they had a little track. So I would go there and I would run in the morning and at night, just to do the little extra stuff. And going down to Jamaica, which would be my first time going down to make a Jamaican team. I was definitely excited. But going into the Olympic trials, I just remember, like, I couldn't even really remember my parents. I just knew that, okay, I had to run the A standard to qualify for the Olympic Games, and I had to come in top 3. So going into Jamaica, I didn't run the A standard as yet. I knew what team I was going after. We had some of the best athletes in the world, but this was a dream that I had ever since it was a dream I had for a long time, since I was young. So I said, this is my time. And like I said, leading into it is like, when you're trying to go after certain things, a lot of things would happen that would just come in your way. So I felt like when the moment I landed in Jamaica, it was like, I'm ironing my uniform, it gets burnt by the iron, I need this.
Yeah.
All stuff just happened, but it's like, it's cool because, I wasn't going to let anything get me off track. And I remember running the first round, and we had 2 rounds, and I remember getting a call from my boyfriend at the time, asking me like, how do I feel? And I said, I feel good. And he said, okay, well, I just want you to know that you have lane 1. And
I remember that.
Right? Yeah. And instantly my heart just fell, like, really fast. I couldn't believe it. I was like, lane 1. I ran really good in the first round, but maybe they didn't know me like that. So for some reason,
it was politics.
Yeah, I ended up with 1. So, but instantly I just picked, my heart up off that ground, and it was like, no, I have this dream for way too long, with this embedded in my heart, that I wasn't going to stop me from doing that. So that instantly just gave me the more fire I needed, So I got into that my lane 1, and that gun went off, and I might have taken like 6 steps to the hurdle. And anybody that knows the 400 hurdles, you at least take like 21 to 22 steps. And,
movement.
And I was gone. And even the announcer said it, and every step came up right. Every step.
Yeah, you're on it.
Yeah, and I just ran until I came across that finish line. And when I came across the finish line, I definitely was in top 3. I made sure I had my position, but it was looking at time because, I knew I was in Jamaica. I knew in order to make the team, the race was going to be fast. It had to be fast. And I just remember waiting for that time to come up on the screen, and it seemed like forever, but it did. And A standard, I was extremely excited. I couldn't believe that this first goal that ever, like, it's one of the first goals that I had, that I said, wow, hard, it was tough, did it. So it was an amazing experience to accomplish something that great.
Yeah. I mean, and winning the 400 hurdle race from lane 1, I mean, that's just, just an extra level of difficulty.
Right.
There. Absolutely. And a lot of folks don't know, when you're living in the States and then you're going out to the Caribbean representing them or trying to make their team, it's times it can be a little bit of hostility because you're looked at like you're an outsider in a lot of ways. So that's an extra layer that you had to deal with, obviously, of course.
Yeah. But that changed really fast.
What's that?
That changed really fast.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. And, before you know it, you were definitely a part of the Jamaican team. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
So tell me, I'd like to know a little bit, and like I said, you're always doing a lot of things. I want to hear a little bit about the Art of the Olympians.
Okay.
Go for it.
So the Art of Olympians is a group, especially for Olympic athletes that, have talents within arts, music, or, painting, whatever it is in that area. And, they contact me, which was really cool. Even had something like this because, as Olympians, a lot of us aren't just athletes. We have other things that we do and that we love to do. So this was just a committee that was, focused on showing those talents of the Olympians. So it was really cool to be a part of that and just be involved with the things that they had musically, open for athletes that have their talents.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you're right. A lot of times folks forget that athletes are multifaceted and the same drive that they have in sports, they can often have in other areas. So
right.
You can have a lot of talents and, you yourself, you do a whole lot of things, like I said, and you're an excellent singer as well. Just recently appearing on America's Got Talent.
Yes.
And, that was amazing.
Yes.
Tell me about that. How was that experience?
Well, that experience was pretty amazing, especially because, as you know, that track and field, making the America's Got Talent was a pretty amazing experience for me because it was my first love. Track and field was actually my second.
Really?
Yes. So at the age of 8 years old, I grew up listening to Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Toni Braxton, and I wanted to be a singer. That is what I wanted to do. And that's what I was actually pursuing when I was in high school, like when I was young, singing at weddings and talent shows and anywhere that I could, and going after record deals and stuff like that. And I had a lot of fun doing it. But when, I discovered my second, passion for track and field and receiving a scholarship for University of South Carolina, I made the decision to go on to college because my education was really important, to me. But, so when I actually years later got to not only be on the world stage for the Olympics 2 times, which was like the highest level that you could be, to be on America's Got Talent, that was like one of the biggest stages that, for talent, for music, for everything. So it was just another experience that I was just really thankful for, because the road leading up to it was definitely, it definitely was a hard road, from track and field and transferring from track and field to being on that stage. So it just meant so much to me to stand there and be living out this other dream goal that I had, like, once again.
Yeah.
And this is a common theme, the transition from track and field to regular life and whatever you're going to do after track. And that's a tough one for everybody, it's people will be amazed at how many highly successful track and field people, Olympians and medalists and whatnot, once you finish running, it's like, where do I go from here? And so, tell me about that transition from being a full-time track and field athlete to, dealing with, with being an artist and also being a wife and everything,
Yes, no, when I went to University of South Carolina to focus on my track and field, I still wrote my music. I still sang for the athletes on the team and stuff. And even though I wasn't focused on my music, I still had my music there, art. And I felt like I could only run. I'm only going to be fast for so long. So I'm going to use my legs now. And, hopefully God will, I have the opportunity to transfer over into my music. So I always had that there, writing and doing that, even when I competed. So I thought that was really important, for me as an athlete, and for my husband, Jamie Nieto, which is an athlete, and he was active when we met, and he was doing a web series. So I looked at it as like, wow, look at this athlete that, is working on something else, and it's amazing. You know what I mean? They were doing something amazing. So I thought it was really cool because even though when you're so focused on track and field, if you have something else that, that you have interest in, it's like, I think that you should, on your off time, if you can, find something else that still makes you happy, so you can take your mind off of track and field, so you're not 24/7 track and field, and just kind of have that there and look into things, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to transition. And as an athlete, you want to also prepare yourself on, what that's going to look like, or what is it that I like to do? Is there anything that you like to do? So that you can work your way into transition after track and field. So I felt like my involvement with my music and that love for that has allowed me to transition to the other side, even though, you know, being an athlete or trying to go into music or entertainment, I picked the hardest field to do. I picked the fields that are like, okay, not not by any means, you know. You
Yeah,
know,
you're
it's
like, I like to sing, but my second choice, I guess I'll be an Olympian, you know?
right. Like it's a 0.00% of the world, the population that's an Olympian. Oh, now you want to be a singer? That's also a 0.0. So I seem to pick things like that, and you know, like I said, I'm just really thankful that you know, those cards have aligned for me to be able to do the things that I've always loved to do.
Mm-hmm. And your journey wasn't easy. You know, there were obstacles that you had to overcome, of course. And I think another common thread is the folks that that we have on the podcast and talk to, you know, that everyone has these trials that they have to overcome, you know, to get where they are. I think a lot of folks don't see that when they see you. You know, they see you like, oh man, this person is just glowing and everything's so good for them, and they don't see what you have to go through and have to deal with and the struggles that you have to overcome.
Right.
You know. Yeah. So I mean, I know that you mentioned your husband Jamie. Jamie was a 2-time Olympian as well in the high jump.
Yeah.
And you know, a little bit of your story with him. I know that he had gotten injured, and you know, one of his major he had suffered some partial paralysis, was it? And I know that.
Yeah. Jamie Nieto, my boyfriend at the time, we met in 2012, and he's a U.S. high jumper. In 2016, he was in a jumping accident, and it left him completely paralyzed from the chest down. Yeah, chest down. They said that he would barely be able to feed himself, is what they told us. And, you know, but at that point, with the mindset that we have and achieving things that people tell us are extremely hard to do, I looked at the situation like it was definitely the hardest challenge that I ever had to face. But I knew, just with the faith that I have, that he was going to get back up and he was going to walk, run, or do whatever it is that he wanted to do. And at that time is, you know, when I retired 2016 from track and field, to be there to help him get back on his feet.
Yeah, that's that Olympian mindset again, you know, like anything's possible. I saw a pretty cool interview with Jamie, and he was, you know, he said that you just were like, oh yeah, well, you'll walk again. Like, we're not, you know, doctors are saying this stuff, we don't buy it. And that one of his main goals, once again, Olympians setting goals and saying, this is what I'm going to do. And one of his goals was to walk on your wedding day, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Yes, no, it's just pretty crazy because when everything happened in 2016, you know, we both had goals, and I was training for my third Olympic Games, was in Rio, and there's no way I could have left his side, you know, to be there, because I'd be thinking about him the whole time. And you know, it was definitely, I would say, it's a tough process, but as Olympians and the athletes that we are, when things are tough, you just got to do it tough, you know? So it was really tough, but, you know, our faith that we had, knowing that we just had to do what we had to do to get through it and endure this cycle that we had to be in. And, you know, we had planned to get married, and we had those kind of talks, you know, before all of this happened. And I just remember when he was in the hospital, he was very, you could see that he was scared. He was worried about his future and what he'd be able to do. And I didn't want him to worry about that. So I said, don't worry about that. You know, we're gonna be fine. I just want you to focus on us getting better. You know, I didn't want him to be afraid about that. And, you know, when we got home, you know, we're, you know, still doing what we have to do and trying to, you know, just do everything we could. And that's a whole nother experience in itself. But I remember coming to him and saying, you know, we can go look at those rings now. You know what I mean? Let's go look at those rings. Because we were at home and, you know, we're together and we're doing all this stuff. And it was just really special to just go out there and let's go look at these rings. And, you know, we're going to get married. And we didn't have a date yet. But as it went through, you know, like athletes, you know, we know the Olympic is every 4 years. So I said, you know, we need to put a date. You know, we have to put a date on this wedding because I knew that it would also help him prepare and have a goal of, okay, I need to be ready by this time. So, and like I said, Jamie was in a power wheelchair. You know, he wasn't moving, but it took every year we just said, we're going to transition to something every year. And really what happened is his power wheelchair broke down on New Year's Day, which I felt was God. He's telling us that he doesn't need the chair anymore.
Get up, yeah. Right, hey, time to walk.
Right. So, you know, we transitioned to the walker, and every change that we made, it was like it made you feel like was a setback because you had to learn this new thing over again, you know. So he had the walker, and we made that date, and it was of July 22nd of 2017. And I remember it was like April, and I'm looking at Jamie and I'm seeing him take his steps because I'm like, you know, he wasn't really taking any steps. So it was like, okay, I knew what his goal was and the time was coming. But it got to April, and I remember going into the therapy center and seeing him, and Jamie took 12 steps that day. And he, like, you know, he had assistance, but his legs were, like, taking the steps. And I couldn't believe it because I was like, he's doing it, you know? Like, it was the first time that I saw him taking these steps, which was just like, wow, he's doing it. So as we got closer to, you know, the date, his steps, he taking more steps, like 12 went to 26, and then he went to like, you know, 50 something, 100, and it was just like, you know, he's getting ready, you know. So because he asked me like, okay, I think it's gonna take about 180 or something like that steps, or 108 steps to get from the altar, you know what I mean, to walk in. You know, athletes were trying to like measure it out, like 40 minutes.
Measure it out. Of course.
So, and when he got to that number, it was just like, all right, well, maybe add on another 50 just to make sure, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just to make sure. But did it. And that day when, which was our wedding day, and to see Jamie just walk out and be on his feet and just standing there super handsome and brushed to walk. And it was definitely, it was just an amazing feeling. And it's more than really amazing, but that's just the only word I can think to tell you, just to see him on his feet and know the dedication and the work it took for him to get there.
Yeah.
In the time span that he did get there, you know. And I knew that was just his true determination to do that. So it was just really awesome.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. You know, so I wanted to ask you about your next big transition, which is going to be you being Army.
Yes.
And it's funny because I saw you post a picture on Facebook. I guess it was the ultrasound, or
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's the child of two Olympians, because the way the baby was sitting, it was like, you know, it had like a bicep, and I was like, what is it? What's going on?
I know.
Yeah, and I was like, that's gonna be a strong kid.
Yes, no, that was that was pretty awesome when I saw that ultrasound too. I was like, what?
I know.
Yeah.
So you tell me, tell me about it. You're nervous, or what? Are you excited? What's what are the emotions that you're dealing with right now?
Oh man, just mommy, and for us to have this child coming into the world, it's pretty amazing because with everything that we've been through, James' accident and being paralyzed from the chest down, those are the concerns that someone's gonna have as far as their life, able to have kids, and how will that be, and those were thoughts that we wondered too. So and we knew that we needed for Jamie to get better, for him to be stronger, get back on his feet and be able to do certain things, so we can also get ready to have a kid as well, try to do that. And so when we were trying, but when we saw that positive that we were going to have a baby, it was just like, it was just like, it was definitely the icing on the cake. But with everything that we've gone through, and then to be blessed to still have this blessing of bringing a child to the world.
Yeah.
But James, it was the best feeling ever. And I've had a lot of good feelings and accomplishments, but this, nothing else. And I know for Jamie, it was him, like, just regaining life again, because he almost lost his life if you look at it, and now he was able to, bring life into the world. So it's definitely really special, and I'm just really thankful to be able to transition into this new stage of our life together with our new baby.
Yeah, congratulations.
I don't know this path, I've never been down this path. So
it's exciting, right?
Yeah, it's like,
what's next?
Yeah, so it's definitely exciting. Looking forward.
And when's the next time we're going to see you singing somewhere?
Oh, so the next time we're waiting for round 2 of America's Got Talent. So, but with coronavirus, everything has changed so much with the shooting and the businesses and everything. So California, we're shut down right now. So there won't be any live auditions. And, obviously with me being pregnant, that is a concern for me.
Yeah.
In that situation. So we're waiting to see what happens with the show. So you'll have to tune in and see, first on Tuesdays. So, but just being on that stage was already, to me, honestly, like it was just amazing experience to sit there. You have Simon and Howie Mandel and like Sophia, artist judges.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have been to 2 Olympics, so like,
It is different. Like the Olympics is a super big stage, but that stage is different because track and field, you run a certain time, and it's either you're the best or you're number 1, 2, or 3, 5, in the world. So, and that's what it is. No one can deny that. But when you're on a stage for music, it's solely in the hands of the people that are watching you and listening. Like, if they don't like it, they don't like it. People have taste and everything. So it's in their hands, which is different, different. And there's so many great singers. There's so many great and contestants on that stage. So it's like, it's anyone's game in a sense. So you don't know. It's not like, okay, let me go out and hit every note and you're going to end up with first place. You know what I mean? So it's definitely different in that aspect. And when you go out there as a singer, and you sing and you write your songs, it comes from within, like your heart. So the music just touches a different place for me. and it's a different experience that I receive from that than track and field. I mean, track and field, I'm gonna be ready for whatever. You know what I mean? Like you're training an animal, you know, to go out there.
Do you run at all ever?
Huh?
Do you run at all ever?
Do I run?
That's a no. Like, no, you don't run anywhere, do you? No.
So,
it's funny. Most people, when they're done with track, they're like, "I'm done."
Right. You know, when I stopped running, obviously, it was really hard for me to get the time to actually go and run and work out and stuff. But I slowly started to get myself active again. As you see, I said active.
Active, yeah.
I said active again, and I do love to run certain workouts, or like fun workouts for me. But
you gotta put workouts in quotes because you know they're not workouts. They're
workouts.
Like regular people workouts. Yes.
But I actually like to box. Boxing
really?
Boxing is something that I enjoy to do as my workout now, honestly. So that's my new interest when it comes to working out. But I still love getting on the track. But, you know, boxing is something that I really like to stay active.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I don't run at all. Those days are done.
Right.
Well, I appreciate having you on. I know you're super busy, and we barely could get you a little bit of time in your schedule.
I know.
Agents and all this other celebrity stuff, you know.
Oh no! You know, from when you called me, I said, okay, it's a Gamecock. You know, so
I know, but come on, man. You're like, okay, well, you know, we have to send you a 50-page contract, and we have to get these lawyers. I'm like, please, just.
It is my fellow and fellow Olympian as well. So I definitely had to do it, and you know, as we prepare for the little one to come in to town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You don't know when he's coming.
I know. I've been in Cali so many times and I've never been able to run into you. And now it's like things are crazy. I don't even know. No. Next time you're on the West Coast.
I know. It's definitely crazy time that we're going through right now. And, but I know we'll get back together. And just for the athletes going through what we're going through now, I know must be very tough time for them trying to race and live out their dream. So, but at the end of the day, you know, being an athlete, things happen. You get hurt, you know, things happen, and that prevents you from doing what you got to do. But I always say a true champion will always come back. So this might just be a dent or something that we have to go through. But if you're going to last the game, you're going to have to be able to come back. So
and that's some real advice right there that people, especially the younger generation, needs to hear. I think, you know, we had Lashinda on here, we had Coach Fry on here, and it's always, you know, the same thing. You know, this stuff isn't easy. Don't think that it's easy. It's hard. And the champions are the ones who just make it through all the tough stuff.
Exactly. You know, from the SEC, you know, we ran in the SEC. And, you know, it's just pretty much trained to endure. You know, we've been on the track. I'm thankful that I was running professionally for like 12 or 13 years or something, you know, sponsored by Puma for like 9 years. And then before that, Adidas. So, you know, we're talking about a lot of years in track and field.
Yeah.
Ups and their downs in track and field. So, you know, even though we're going through this right now with coronavirus, it's the year off our season. And I definitely hope that by next summer we'll be back in a better place. But, you know, for right now, it's a time that, you know, we do have to sit down and we do be safe so that not only can we protect ourselves, but we can protect other people too and not be the reason why someone else gets sick or anything like that. And, you know, and we'll come back. And even if that means for an athlete that you have to get another job or you have to do something because you aren't running anymore, you don't have, you know, you're not getting paid for the thing that you love to do, you know, that happens too when you're running track. I mean, that happens as well. So, you know, it's only going to make you stronger. And I just think advice that I would give for an athlete that's competing during this time is to remember that, you know, there will always be bumps, and you want to have a long career in track and field. So just, you know, take your time and come back, just come back stronger, you know, come back stronger the next